The following is a production of DallasCowboys.com and the Dallas Cowboys Football Club.
How about them Cowboys?
Yeah! Go Cowboys! This is Talkin Cowboys. Streaming live from the Dallas Cowboys World Headquarters at the Star in Frisco.
C.D. Lamb, touchdown.
Parsons has sacked it. Prescott keeps it, and he bangs it in for the touchdown.
And now your hosts, Isaiah Stanback, Patrick Walker, Josh Rodriguez, and Kyle Yeomans.
It's a wonderful Wednesday edition of Talkin Cowboys presented by Black Rifle Coffee Company, live from the Star in Frisco, Texas, in the SWBC studios. As we welcome you in, everybody, we've got Chris Beam in the back, punching the buttons, making us happen, having it on air every day. And we've got Patrick No-C Walker. Patrick No-C Walker.
I was about to say Peppa Pig.
We've got Isaiah Stanback. We've got Josh Rodriguez. I'm Kyle Yeomans. Glad you're with us. Today is our defensive preview, as it is, of course, week one of the NFL season. We're going to talk about the Cowboys defense and what they have going up against Deshaun Watson, the Nick Chubless Cleveland Browns, and one guy at receiver that we know pretty well.
A little bit.
On the outside.
Kind of familiar.
So we're going to talk about all of that throughout the course of the show. How's everybody doing today? Everybody good?
Fantastical.
Yeah.
Excellent. Feeling great. Feeling re-energized, even though we just did 9 podcasts yesterday, Or
Dude.
8.
See, and that's
We
the
are
thing.
so back.
We're back.
Pulling the curtain back a little bit for Josh
a lot.
Rodriguez. Josh starts the day with us on our show.
Right.
And then immediately hops into the podcast control room behind us with Chris Beam and helps Beam produce, post, edit. Literally every other podcast the rest of the day.
Shebang.
So
Until people tweet Derek and like, where are the podcasts at? It's like, oh, all 9 of them
where
from
the
today?
heck is my mix shots today? Like,
Exactly.
And then Derek, is there a reason?
Is there a reason why none of the podcasts are up?
you see like his
They're
like,
up, I promise.
contact. You see Derek's contact on your phone pop up, and like you have one or
Ruins my
two
day.
reactions. You're either like, "Oh, I'm doing a great job,"
and you're like,
because he'll call and he'll give
Yeah,
you props. Like
absolutely.
it'll happen all the time. Or it's like, "Uh-oh," like. What's
there's
going
no
on?
in between.
Am I getting called to the principal's office? That's what we always talk about.
Oh, it's just pure stress. And I got it
principal office.
in the middle of a movie yesterday. I got my Derek text in the middle of watching a movie. I was at the theater, and I was like, oh, I can't focus on this anymore.
A little bit of anxiety took over then.
Oh, 100%. I was
For
like,
the
oh,
rest
no,
of that movie,
what's
you were
going
like
on?
replaying
There was
the
a
course
glow
of the
from
day.
his seat where his laptop's
Yeah, the
open. and
laptop
he's just
open.
like,
The movie like Wi-Fi connection started to fade a little bit because he had the hotspot up in the theater.
I asked
like,
projectionist, like, can you pause it for just 1 minute?
Just a minute, I promise. It'll be okay. Oh, man. Well, yeah, re-energized is what it feels like.
Indeed.
No, it feels great.
And
We're back to it.
I think it's even better once you get into a routine and you get the same show every day. We're here at 9 a.m. every day to break it down for you. But before we get into our preview, let's go to some news and notes with Patrick No-C Walker.
So yesterday was a couple of transactions. Both were more or less expected. Obviously, Viliami Jr. for Hoko, former 4th-round pick from last year. He was officially released from the Cowboys. Initially, during the roster cutdowns, he was waived injured, and it was an expectation that would result in an injury settlement, which is exactly what the two sides came to terms on. So Fehoko is a free agent, and the Cowboys made the release of David Durden, wide receiver. He is out as well. And we didn't speak on this before now, but I want everyone to know who may not know, Al-Quadin Muhammad was released late last week. If you remember, he did play well in the preseason. He performed well, once he was added in camp, but also needed to still serve that 1-game suspension, which was coming due week 1. The Cowboys didn't need to carry him. He was on the suspended reserve list, but apparently they chose to move on, which they are more within the rights to do. So he is a free agent as well. Al-Quadin Muhammad is not going to be on the Cowboys depth chart come week 2. Yeah, AQM is what I called him.
yeah, I like him.
I liked AQM.
We talked about that last week a little bit.
Yeah, he showed some promise.
I hope they bring him back.
He showed promise. It is possible, but it is kind of a head scratcher in the capacity of, if you're wondering if they will bring him back, which is possible, makes you wonder why they released him in the first place when he was not being a hit, when he wasn't a hit to a roster seat at all. So they didn't have to make a decision on him until after week 1. but they proactively made that decision. So something kind of went awry there, it feels like. But I don't have all the details on it, so I won't speculate.
Well,
Yeah,
he
that's
was a response to the Sam Williams injury, if I'm not
He
correct.
was. He was in that workout group with Shaka
Yes,
Tony,
that's
Carl
right.
Lawson, and it was him, AQM.
And Lawson's on the practice squad.
Correct.
Right. So you have one of those guys on the practice squad. You waive Tony. Are there any other practice spot positions open?
They're maxed.
They're maxed out.
They're
of the practice
maxed.
squad.
So they have the 17, which is the 16 plus you get the IPP exception for Denzel Jackson. So they're maxed at 17.
Would you like to see AQM back?
He had flashes in the preseason, no doubt, but I think they probably see more potential in Carl Lawson.
Yeah. You don't feel that way though.
I definitely don't feel that way at all. I don't think Carl Lawson, he did not possess the juice that I was looking for from that particular position. I think he looks like a transformer for sure. He looks
It's
like
the all hotel lobby team.
He looks like a weight room monster. But from what I saw, he didn't have more than one move. He went upfield, got jammed up. He was either going to get to the quarterback or not. He didn't get to the quarterback. He didn't seem like he had too much agility, too many other moves in his bag.
And was that not being in shape for football season?
I don't know. I didn't see any change-ups. I was watching them because I was looking at those two. I like AQM. I think he's one of the few true defensive ends that the Cowboys had in camp this year. That's just my opinion. I think Chauncey Golson is not a true DN. I don't think Tyrus Wheat. I think Tyrus Wheat's kind of a
Tweener.
Yeah, he's a tweener. Obviously you got Micah. Obviously you have D-Law. But those are the only two that are like true DNs. Marshawn Nealon, everybody's talking about him. He's not a DN to me. He doesn't possess what I consider to be a DN. Maybe in this new Mike Zimmer system, but when you talk about, hey, I want you to go get the quarterback, it's not a guy that you're necessarily going to look at.
And that's what they're trying to unlock with Marshawn Nealon. And speaking with Nealon over the course of training camp, obviously he knows, the Cowboys know, we know that one of his greenest of flags was his run defense at the edge. So I think him hearing everyone praise that, which is completely fine, he feels like not enough people were talking about his ability to rush the passer. So there were on more than one occasion when Nealon proactively brought up how he was working on unlocking that pass rush ability completely. So to your point, maybe in Zimmer's system and working with Coach Z and Greg Ellis, maybe they'll be able to unlock that as the season goes on. But I will say Nealon did show some good penetration into the opposing pocket over the course of the preseason during his snaps. So there's some progression there, but let's see, like Isaiah says, let's see if it gets completely unlocked as early as this year, because they need it as early as this year with Sam out.
Yeah, because you need a guy that's going to stop the run and set the edge and
he's
keep
elite at that.
contain is the big thing. I mean, just keep it inside the tackles.
And you have a mobile quarterback coming up.
You got a couple
And
of those
special
coming up.
teams too. That's the
Special
other
teams,
aspect. If you're
yeah.
going to have these guys on the depth chart, and they have to be versatile on your teams.
Yeah, I don't know if you're going to see Marshawn
That's what I'm
Nealon
saying.
running down the field at 6'4", 260.
You're also not going to see Carl Lawson on special teams.
Yeah, exactly. And both those guys play heavy to me. You know what I mean? Like they play heavy.
Would you have seen AQM on special teams?
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
I do agree.
Well, long, lanky, athletic. I mean, if you're going to drop an athlete, that's what you draw up right there.
Well, and we talked about this too, but if that's a conversation, you don't think John Fossil said or looked at the list and said, okay, John, you've got Carl Lawson, you've got AQM, make your decision. Whoever you want will be on the practice squad.
I don't think that was his decision.
Yeah. Okay.
If it came down to that, I don't believe that was his decision. I think if he did have an opportunity to put his finger on somebody, it was Tyrus Wheat.
I was about to say. I think it was a dialogue, and if that were the case, and he was saying, he being Bones Fossil, if he was saying, hey, I want AQM over Carl Lawson for special teams purposes, they probably rebutted and said, we'll give you a Tyrus Wheat if you give Mike Zimmer Carl Lawson.
Yeah.
So, I mean, it's always an open dialogue when you're talking about roster cuts. So.
Yeah, you got to play the game.
You got to play the game.
Yeah, it's like
As I've
fantasy.
learned, it's not easy to do.
But again, going back to this conversation we had yesterday, this is not a DN featured defense.
No,
Correct.
So as much as we're used to these great defensive ends for the Dallas Cowboys over the years, and there still is one obviously in the room, and Micah Parsons, that he will be utilized and he will eat as usual. That's not the feature of this defense. And obviously we'll get into it today. These linebackers are the stars of the show.
Inside out.
Is the stars of the show. Any other news and notes?
That come to mind. No, unless I'm missing one. Am I missing one?
I don't think so. No, I was just asking.
Yesterday, because they didn't practice yesterday. So using that as a segue to today, the Cowboys will return to practice. Today will be, and this is how we know we're back, baby. Today will be the first official practice report.
We get practice.
Reports effective today.
Wow.
So we will get an official tracker for what's going on with whoever is dealing with any type of ailment. But as it stands,
This is
everyone
going to be now way too much panic Wednesday.
of course, absolutely. You're going to see like Brandon Cooks probably limited, and people. Oh, I thought Brandon Cooks was. He's fine.
Yeah, Marshawn Nealon's going to have like a toe.
He's fine.
It's going to be like, wait.
So yeah, get ready for that. But Cowboys return to practice today, and they're really going to start ratcheting things up over the next 3 days, 3 to 4 days to get ready for that trip to Cleveland, because there's a lot that awaits them.
Yes.
At Cleveland Brown Stadium.
Yes, there is. Would you ever be the Bill Belichick of practice reports and just put everybody on there? Would you ever do that?
Yeah, I'm not disclosing anything that actually needs to be
Needs out there. But that's how you do it. You muddy the water.
Absolutely.
You put every single name. Josh has a shoulder. You've got a hip. You've got an ankle. I've got knee.
You go noodling.
Yeah, whatever it ends up being.
Beef has
Or just
an
listing body
eyelash.
parts
Yeah.
for people that have them. It's like he has an ear. Like he has one.
Yeah, he's got. You're playing head, shoulders,
Chris
knees, and
B,
toes.
eyelash.
He lost it. It's in his eye. Something's in his eye.
He made a wish.
All right, let's get into that defensive preview because, like you said, Cleveland has a lot to look for. Before we get into that, we got to look at who's going to play defense because the defensive depth chart was released for the first time, the unofficial depth chart. I'm going to read off the starters here. Stop me if there's any shockers, right? These are starters only. DeMarcus Lawrence, Micah Parsons. Nothing right there yet. I'm going to skip a name for a second. Osa Odigizua, Damone Clark, Eric Kendricks, Maris Leofau, Trayvon Diggs, Kalen Carson, Jordan Lewis, Donovan Wilson, Malik Hooker, and the name I skipped was Mozzie Smith. Any shockers? Any surprises?
Not in the
Even
least.
the last name.
I think people might be shocked to see Leofau above Overshown. However, they've been listing Leofau over Overshown since training camp.
Since the first unofficial training camp depth chart.
Hence my no.
Yeah. So it's no surprise to us, but maybe people at home might be surprised to see that.
And they have been, just based on the responses that I've been getting. There's another name offensively as a starter that has people up in arms. We'll talk about that another time. But as far as Leofau, the Leofau Overshown dynamic, I mean, to me, it doesn't matter which one of those two guys you list on paper as the starter. They're both going to play rotationally and get a healthy amount of snaps. And also keep in mind that Leofau is versatile. So he'll play Mike, Sam, and Will. And in those situations where he's, playing in a different spot than Overshown, you'll see them in sets where both of them are on the field at the same time. So, again, the answer is no for me because I have an expectation for how Mike Zimmer is going to use those two guys, and it's going to be quite a bit. So who the starter is a non-starter for this conversation.
You said a healthy amount of snaps for both of those guys. What would that be? Like 35, 40 snaps
give or
more
take.
than that?
Yeah, give or take. Give or take.
Because what are we thinking? Probably like 80 to 90
Right.
defensive snaps
Right.
total, right?
And is it
In week one.
situational?
Do you think it'll be 80 snaps or something?
I think it's more of
No.
a situation.
What?
80 snaps?
As a defense?
Yeah.
I mean, Cleveland likes to get up and go.
No. 65.
They also possess.
You think it'll be 65?
yeah.
Cleveland, along with the Cowboys, they're one of the best in the league at time of possession as well. So
They're gonna run the ball.
That's what I mean. They're going to
Yeah.
run the ball.
Okay.
There will be
You're
a
right.
lot of defensive reps for the Cowboys in this game to come up because unless the Cowboys can get off the field consistently on third down, yeah, those numbers.
Let's say
those snap counts gonna be-
max of 70. If there's 70 set snaps max, would you say 30 for Leofau, 30 for Overshown, and then mix in another 10 somewhere else?
I think in this particular game, looking at skill set, and I know Leofau has a lot of speed, but Overshown, go back and look at his Longhorns tape. This dude is designed to get after mobile quarterbacks, right? So when you're going against a guy like Deshaun Watson, I feel like this is a game that would tilt slightly toward Overshown having a higher snap count before it's all said and done than Leofau. Now, that does not to say Leofau is going to be playing the bench because he's not, because his speed is going to be needed as well. Yeah. But I do see this as more of an Overshown game than Leofau.
I'm not sure. I don't think they know. I don't think they know.
It is week 1.
Yeah, it's week 1. I don't.
And neither has played an NFL game yet.
We'll get into the details, I'm sure, but it's going to be whoever's the most physical in this game. Whoever's the most physical is going to be the one who gets to, regardless of who gets to start. Whoever's the most physical
We'll get
after the first
Who do
quarter.
you think plays more physical? Just right now, based on
I
college
haven't
tape.
seen it. I'm not going off of college. I got
Okay, what about
when
preseason
when these guards,
preseason,
when these
that's
offensive guards, can they pull guards
Yeah, true.
all day long? 310 pounds comes around the corner and comes up to the second level. Who's going to come meet him?
Overshown did put on some more.
Who's going to come meet him?
He put on some
It's-
more.
It's just
For that
nice.
reason.
Yeah, I want to see it.
For that reason.
I want to see who's going to come downhill. So that's what's going to determine
That's fair.
it. Because
That's
if you're just scraping across the formation, you're going to get thrown out the club.
Yeah.
Jazzy Jeff style. Yeah.
Fair enough.
I like it. I do. So official or unofficial depth chart released for the Cowboys going into their week 1 matchup. We'll talk more about the offensive depth chart tomorrow in our offensive preview.
Can't wait.
I did have one surprise though that you did mention as far as starters go.
Yeah.
Israel Mukuamu, he was moved back to cornerback. Did you guys see that?
I caught that.
In terms of non-starters?
Yeah.
I like to see that, albeit an unofficial. All right, got to keep saying that. Albeit an unofficial depth chart, I do love seeing that they're closer to making official what we've seen throughout the course of training camp, which was Israel Mukuamu was getting a ton of snaps at the cornerback position.
And
at nickel corner.
Seen throughout his professional career whenever
Right.
he wasn't as good at safety as he has been at corner.
And we have been pleading for Izzy to be moved back to corner, which is where he thrived at South Carolina. So, yeah. Why are you making that face? Stand back.
No reason. We're light at corner.
We are light at corner.
We're light at corner.
He's helping that.
Yeah.
Listen, I saw all I needed to see.
I mean, all you really need him to do in this defense is, especially when you're playing zone, because that's why it's a benefit for him in this defense to play corner. Because if you guys go back and look at, let's not even look at that. Let's just keep it in the Cowboys. When you're as long and lanky as he is, and if you're Coach Zimmer, you're asking him if you're playing a cover 2 or you're playing a cover 2 trap or you're playing any kind of cloud 3 or anything like that, where he's responsible for an area. He's not responsible for a man, but he's responsible just for a space. Go Gadget is who you want out there, because all you're telling him to do is, hey, go disrupt him off the line of scrimmage.
Right. Yeah.
Right? I'm not worried about you getting beat because we have help over the top. So go be aggressive, disrupt him with your size, and then fall back into your zone and let those guys go hunt up front.
Do what you can do at that point.
And the ball, if the ball comes to your area, go Power Rangers.
Yeah.
Go up there and get that thing and bring it back down. So you're not asking him to have the same responsibilities that a Dan Quinn did, because you're not asking him to play man.
Right, agreed. And Izzy Mukuamu is basically Mr. Fantastic with the Marvel reference.
There you go.
by the
All
way.
these references.
Fantastic Four reference. But the difference is in having him in rotation with a guy like Jordan Lewis is that, like Isaiah is saying, Izzy excels with his size and his length as a zone cover guy, where Jordan excels as a man cover guy.
Correct.
So being able to rotate those two guys in, knowing that you have an elite zone guy and an elite cover guy, only works in the favor of Mike Zimmer.
I like it. I've always wanted Izzy to go back to corner. His tape at South Carolina was always impressive. I get it. I get the experiment, but it was an experiment for a year. Move him back to corner, see what happens, and then if his career takes off, it takes off. He's on the 53-man roster at this point, which is saying something.
He's tall. I don't think people understand how tall this dude
he's
is.
big. Yeah.
I mean, they list him at 6'4".
Yeah,
he might,
he
might be 6'4" and a half
too.
Yeah.
He is an absolute dog. He will get in the mind of the route receiver or whoever the target might be. He's going to talk his talk, and more often than not, he's going to back it up. And you talk about physicality. He's not just this long, lanky guy. He loves to hit as much as he loves to cover. He loves to make his presence felt, and then when you're getting up, when you're looking up at him, he's talking to you the whole time. So I said before roster cut downs, and got the receipt out there on Twitter, I said you have to find a way to keep Israel Mukuamu on this roster, and they found a way. So kudos to them, and moved him back to corner, which is fantastic.
And again, they've put him back on the 53-man active roster. He should play game days. He should
As
be
we have
active
this conversation,
playing
he is a
game
go.
days. The one thing too is they just cut a 4th-round pick from a more recent draft than what they had
Eric
with
Scott.
Eric Scott,
yeah.
6th round, Viliami Fehoko, 4th round. They like Izzy Mukwamu enough to keep him around. There is a point being made by him being on the roster.
And I love it.
I love it too. All right, when we come back here on Talking Cowboys, time to dive deep into the Cleveland Browns. What do they bring offensively? What will challenge this Cowboys defense? And how much effect will Amari Cooper have going into week 1? We'll talk about it right after this.
Todd thought it would be secure to jog in the cheetah savanna. Todd believed the big cat repellent he bought online was reliable. And now, Todd is trying to be faster than this cheetah that can run 80 miles per hour. But the good news is, Todd has AT&T 5G that is fast, reliable, and secure. And he learned the best thing to do is stop running and toss her the backpack with the beef stew. AT&T 5G. Fast, reliable, secure.
5G requires compatible plan and device. 5G may not be available in your area. See att.com/5G for you for details.
If you're looking for fresh American roasted coffee that gives back, you need to head to your local grocery store and pick up a bag of Black Rifle coffee. That's right, America's coffee is now available in the coffee aisle of a grocery store near you. Black Rifle Coffee Company is veteran-founded with a mission to give back to those brave men and women who have served our nation. Every bag, box, or can you purchase helps support that mission. Head to your local grocery store and roast yourself some Black Rifle coffee today.
They say champions are remembered, but legends are never forgotten. United Ag and Turf offers a winning lineup of John Deere equipment built to tackle any challenge on and off the field. Legendary John Deere tractors, combines, residential mowers, commercial mowers, compact construction equipment, Gator utility vehicles, and a full line of golf and sports turf equipment. United Ag and Turf, the official Ag and Turf equipment supplier of the Dallas Cowboys. Visit UnitedAgAndTurf.com to find a location near you.
Life doesn't stop when the economy is uncertain. The market might not care you have a wedding to plan or a kid to put through school. And inflation doesn't know you've got a family to feed. But Bank of America does, and is here to help. With digital tools to help you save and local experts nearby, you can keep life moving forward the way you need it to. Bank of America. What would you like the power to do? Learn more at bankofamerica.com. Bank of America N.A., member FDIC, equal credit opportunity lender.
Back to Talkin' Cowboys.
Back here on Talking Cowboys, where this portion of the show is brought to you by none other than Quaker Oats, the official oatmeal sponsor of the Dallas Cowboys. Quaker Oats, trusted since 1877. I got a text message from one of the later shows. I won't name which one. They said that they didn't feel like your cleanup job yesterday after spilling your oats everywhere. They didn't feel like it was sufficient or adequate enough.
Is that right?
Yeah.
That's right.
Yeah, they felt like there was still some
Care to
residue
respond?
left over.
Care to respond?
That's what we do. We leave our residue around these parts when we talk to Cowboys.
What are we doing?
First show.
I think we're trying to get fired.
First show, right?
It happens when you go commando.
Hey,
you leave residue.
Very nice.
You leave residue when you go commando.
Watch your phone for
I'm
Derek.
gonna watch my water bottle.
Watch the
Keep that
phone.
away.
Derek's contact's gonna pop
Benefits of
up.
being the first show. Just saying.
Jeez, this is ridiculous, guys.
Yeah, it's ridiculous.
This is ridiculous.
Welcome back.
By the way, if you have your phone out, you can scan the QR code and
What's the code?
Get some Quaker
It's the Quaker
Oats.
code.
Quaker code.
The Quaker code.
It's on that side, right, Beam?
That's correct. Yeah, it's over there somewhere.
It's right next to Isaiah Stanback's head.
Yeah, it's right next to
The other
head.
side.
The other side.
On
the
that
other
side.
side. Here, that one.
There it is.
There it is. It's right there, actually.
So you're going to just start pointing there every time, all right? Thanks. All right, let's take a look at the Browns' offense. And I'm not going to lie to you guys, they don't scare me. They do not scare me. The Browns offensively last year, here's some of their totals. Total yardage, 16th in the league. Scoring, they were tied for 10th, so not too bad. Rushing, 12th. Passing, 19th. They were the 29th ranked team on third down, bottom 5 in the league in terms of third down efficiency, and they allowed the 21st most, what would that be? They were 21st in sacks allowed, so they gave up top, would that be 12? Top 12 amount of sacks in the league last year as an offensive line. So when you look at the offense, I'm not necessarily worried. 28th in yards per play. If I had one thing that I think this Cowboys defense would struggle against would be the run game. Well, they don't have Nick Chubb to hand the football off to. Do you feel like, and that's where I'm headed, you think Jerome Ford is a capable ball carrier enough to challenge the Cowboys' new-look run defense?
Ball carrier is interesting because all-purpose, he had 1,100 yards last season and 9 scores. I think we get burnt all the time when it comes to receiving running backs. It gives me PTSD of
Aaron Jones.
Yeah, exactly. But even back to Darren Sproles, you know what I mean? Like anytime there's a shifty running back like that, they kill us. So I'm concerned about that. But also, they also brought in Deontay Foreman in the backfield, 6 foot, 235-pound running back from Chicago, who only averaged 4.2 yards per carry last season.
Yeah.
The guy I wanted on the practice squad.
Exactly. Big dude. So I think the easiest fix here is just don't let them get into the red zone. You know what I mean? Like, just don't do it. How's that sound? Easy fix, right?
Yeah, easy. Yeah. Easy peasy. Lemon squeezy. You don't have Nick Chubb, so there's a massive drop-off there. That being said, as the Dallas Cowboys defense, you don't have the freaking luxury to overlook.
Say it again.
You don't have the luxury to overlook a running back. You don't have the luxury to look at Jerome Ford and say, oh, well, he's not Nick Chubb, or Deontay Foreman and say, oh, well, he's not what he would. You don't have the luxury. You need to go out there and act as if you're playing defense against Nick Chubb, because until further notice, there's a huge question mark slapped right in the middle of your defensive line, and even the linebackers until we see these games, wondering if Mike Zimmer's defense is going to rapidly, both actually, increase the amount, or I should say decrease the production from opposing running defenses. So Jerome Ford, this is a guy, like you said, 1,100 plus all-purpose yards, 9 all-purpose touchdowns, 813 yards, and 4 rushing touchdowns on the ground. So he can be effective. So don't go in there. Don't go into Cleveland thinking, you're not seeing Nick Chubb. So you take a breath. Don't hold that breath and go do your damn job, because these two guys, they can get the job done. And you got to flip that time of possession. You cannot let Cleveland own the time of possession, especially in their stadium. That doesn't bode well when you also have to contend with the receivers.
I call it taking the air out of the football.
Yeah.
I mean, you don't. It's almost like trying to just play keep away. You don't want to let the other team play the game that they love,
especially
so
the number one offense in the league.
Absolutely, and they're going to do everything they can. They don't care about that. I mentioned 29th in yards per play or 28th in yards per play last year. They could not care less. They will be okay with 2.5 yards, 3 yards, and then they get a first down. 2.5, 3 yards, then they get a second first down.
Right,
and then they keep going down the field.
Time of possession is
marching
another defender.
On. Exactly.
It's another defender.
And it could play a factor. They do have some weaponry on the outside. I mentioned Amari Cooper. They traded for Jerry Jeudy, which I think is a significant, underrated move this offseason across the AFC in general, not just the Cowboys, or not just the Browns. I like what Elijah Moore can do. Yeah, I mean, weaponry on the outside, running game as a whole, Isaiah, when you look at this team from a film standpoint, and by the way, new offensive coordinator, Ken Dorsey is now the OC with Cleveland. Which side of it worries you more, the rushing game or the passing game?
Rushing game.
Yeah.
All
Still?
day. Rushing game. I don't.
And is that more for the Cowboys or more for what they're bringing?
Why would you not attack the Cowboys' ability to defend the run?
Until further notice.
Yep.
You want to, as Cleveland, okay, we're now obviously new OC, new year, all that jazz. Historically speaking, when you play the Cleveland Browns, you know that you have to be able to defend against what?
The run.
Yeah.
The run.
Yeah. It was Nick Chubb.
And it ran through Nick Chubb. I think yes, and Nick Chubb is a very talented running back, but I think this game is less about the running back and more about the offensive line. The offensive line of Cleveland, to me, is a solid unit. Those guys work really well together. They move all the time in terms of pulling guards, pulling tackles. I'm going to say this. The Dallas Cowboys feature of the defense is what position? Linebackers, right?
Right.
That's their feature right now.
It's Mike Zimmer.
It's featured position.
Good to say, doesn't it?
Yes, the feature position is linebacker. Okay,
that's a vast difference than January, right?
Feels good. It tastes good.
Historically, obviously, we have to wait and see, right? But historically, the Cleveland Browns have done a lot of counters. A lot of counters. And for those that don't understand, misdirection counters, okay, that means pulling guards, right? You're going like you're handing the ball off one way. You let the guard go the opposite direction. You hand the ball off to a running back, going right behind that big man. And if your linebackers are not aggressive and decisive, there will be a 300-plus pound man who loves to put guys into the ground and eat pancakes. He will be on your 230-pound linebacker, 215, 20 with Leufau, right? Good luck. In a heartbeat. So these linebackers have to shoot the gaps, trust their eyes, right? So Kendricks, Leufau, all these guys, when you see it, you see a hole, go. The other person in this defense that has to win every single time is the one technique.
Yep.
If the one technique does not control the center, you're in trouble. If you don't win that matchup, you're in trouble. If you get moved to one direction and you allow for him to get his hip turn and get you shifted one direction, you are opening up the Red Sea. And now you're putting so much pressure on your linebackers. But if you can get even a stalemate at that position and don't allow that center to be able to work up to the next level, and when that guard, right guard or left guard decides to vacate their space and that linebacker shoots the hole, you can get these guys down in the backfield. Reason being, if you don't do that, then it's not Chubb in the backfield, but it is a forward in the backfield, and we know that forwards are built for tough.
Darn
and
right.
these guys, this dude ran. He was clocked at 21 miles per hour last year. So
that's like Isaiah Stanback fast.
No, I'm 22. But if you allow for these guards, again, understand this conceptually. Guard leaves, pulls, gets up to the second level. If your linebackers don't shoot the gap and stop this thing in the backfield, if your one technique doesn't push the guy back or stalemate the center, then all of a sudden he's getting out to the edge. That's running back I'm referring to. And if you have a running back who runs 21 miles per hour and he gets out on the edge, now you're in trouble. Now you're asking Trayvon to come up and make big hits. Now you're asking your defensive backs to come up there and make plays on guys that they really shouldn't have to be worried about.
What you know what that does, then that sets up the play action deep ball. That's what it does, because now your corner has to worry about playing with his eyes in the backfield, and that's a recipe for disaster. And Isaiah makes all the great points, and I want to point at something that Maris Leofau told us after Monday's practice that stuck out to me. I asked him specifically, I said, what is Mike Zimmer's message to the rookie linebackers going into their first game? Overshown, and because Overshown is de facto rookie, and Leofau as well. And Leofau's quote was, he told us to just cut it loose and let me do the thinking, end quote. So to Isaiah's point, that if that works out as we hope it does, that is the instinctual play of the linebackers. Just telling them, hey, this is your assignment, now go play football and don't overthink it. But this is going to be a massive test for Mazi Smith and the rebuilt interior defensive line. So even if the jury is out, and the jury is out on Mazi Smith right now until further notice, but as the jury is out on Mazi Smith, it's going to be a test for Mazi and Linval, the new addition, Linval Joseph. And Osa, we know Osa's going to cook. Osa's going to cook. No question marks on Osa. Thanks. Jordan Phillips, he flashed early in preseason, as early as his first preseason game with no practice, right? So Jordan Phillips, Osa Odigizua, who we know is going to cook, Mazi, and then the newest addition, Linval Joseph. Those four guys up front in those trenches, if they can wall that off, force the runs to the outside, and the linebackers are in fact being cut loose and playing instinctual football, now you're going to force not only Deshaun Watson into abandoning the run, now you're going to force them, the Cleveland Browns, into playing your game. You want them to drop back 40 times and throw the ball. That's what you want. They're going to test Kalen Carson. They are. But I tell you what, if you target him 10 times, one of those is going to be an interception. Right? So you want them getting one-dimensional.
And they haven't been one-dimensional, or at least, let me say it this way. Teams under Ken Dorsey have not been one-dimensional whenever it comes to their quarterbacks. He's had some pretty good success with quarterbacks. I'll tell you about that when we come back on the other side of the break. How can Ken Dorsey, the new offensive coordinator in Cleveland, help grow Deshaun Watson and help push him in the right direction, and how the Cowboys can slow him down? When we come back with more Talkin Cowboys right after this.
Todd thought it would be secure to jog in the cheetah savanna. Todd believed the big cat repellent he bought online was reliable. And now, Todd is trying to be faster than this cheetah that can run 80 miles per hour. But the good news is, Todd has AT&T 5G that is fast, reliable, and secure. And he learned the best thing to do is stop running and toss her the backpack with the beef stew. AT&T 5G. Fast, reliable, secure.
5G requires compatible plan and device. 5G may not be available in your area. See att.com/5G for you for details.
It's the official men's skincare brand of the Dallas Cowboys, Jack Black. And right now, Cowboys fans can get 15% off their $75 order. Plus, because every deal needs a playmaker, your order will include a free 5-piece skincare set and free shipping. The Jack Black Playmaker is 4 of Jack's favorites and a full-sized intense therapy lip balm. Make a play for the Playmaker at getjackblack.com/Cowboys with the code CowboysVIP. That's getjackblack.com/Cowboys with the code CowboysVIP.
Welcome back into Dear Doctor, the show where I answer life's questions with an ice-cold can of Dr. Pepper. Sheila, let's hear from our next caller, would you?
Dear Doctor, my friend supported me during a tough time. But what's the right gift that says, thanks for being a shoulder to cry on?
Okay, this one's easy. I say give her a delicious Dr. Pepper. Nothing says, thanks, girl, better than a one-of-a-kind soda. Yes, any Dr. Pepper flavor will do. Now, just a reminder that I don't need to be a real doctor to know that Dr. Pepper is the one you deserve.
If you're looking for fresh American roasted coffee that gives back, you need to head to your local grocery store and pick up a bag of Black Rifle coffee. That's right, America's coffee is now available in the coffee aisle of a grocery store near you. Black Rifle Coffee Company is veteran-founded with a mission to give back to those brave men and women who have served our nation. Every bag, box, or can you purchase helps support that mission. Head to your local grocery store and roast yourself some Black Rifle coffee today.
Back to Talkin Cowboys.
Back here on Talking Cowboys, this segment is brought to you by Invisalign, the official smile of the Dallas Cowboys. All smiles here on this wonderful Wednesday. Isaiah Stanback, Josh Rodriguez, Patrick No-C Walker, Chris Beam in the back. I'm Kyle Yeomans. I teased it going into the break. Ken Dorsey, new offensive coordinator for the Browns this season. He was the Bills' offensive coordinator from 2022 to 2023. And previous to that, from 2013 to 2017, he was the quarterback coach for Cam Newton in Carolina. Through his time in both of those places, Allen led the NFL with 203 offensive touchdowns since 2019. Newton had over 150 offensive touchdowns in that same span, 2013 to 2017, which was 4th in the NFL. And, of course, he won his MVP award in 2015. So, right now, one of the best quarterbacks in the league, influenced by Ken Dorsey. Back then, an MVP, a top-notch player, coached up by Ken Dorsey. Deshaun Watson was one of the worst quarterbacks in football last year, and it's statistically proven. Since 2022, 41st out of quarterbacks, 41st in completion percentage, 38th in passing yards per game, 36th in passing attempts. His touchdown to interception ratio was 14-9. It was not good.
Oh, brother. Oh, brother. This guy
stinks. But can Ken Dorsey change that, Isaiah? So from your experience, from a quarterback coach, an OC, whatever it may be, you cannot fix it.
No, not him.
Why is that?
He lost his velocity. Deshaun Watson does no longer, from what I've seen on film, no longer possesses the ability to put any zip on the ball. The interceptions that he had last year were because not only just bad decisions, but the ball wasn't going to get there. Just flat out.
Now, were you saying that before or during his battle with the shoulder issue that eventually landed him hard? Do you think that's a remnant of what he was dealing with last year and maybe it could come back this year?
Yeah, I don't know. We'll see. We'll see. But from what I've seen, they just not there. You know what I mean? And it might be one of the reasons why Amari Cooper wanted to get out of there.
Why they were talking trade with possible San Francisco.
Yeah, and when Brandon Ayuk had an opportunity to leave, he was like, not there.
Yeah, I ain't going.
Right?
He's
So,
like,
I mean,
Pittsburgh.
there's reasons, there's underlying factors as to why guys don't want to go places. And, that seemed to be one as I watched the film. So it's just, I don't think that they're going to be, I think they're going to attempt to put the ball down the field. I think Ken Dorsey's definitely going to try to have the same success that he's had in the past.
I kind of hope they do.
I hope they do safeties here.
But in order to do that, right? In order to do that, he's going to pay homage to what the Browns have been. He's going to do that, right? Let's hand the ball off. Let's run the rock. That's what this is what you guys your identity has been for years. Let's continue to do that. But if Dallas can show some resilience there, it's kind of like the old Kellen Moore. Right? Kellen Moore's like, we'll run the ball. I really don't want to.
He even said it.
Oh, it's not running? Oh, it's not working? Oh,
Great.
Let's throw the ball 45, 50 times a game.
Fantastic.
And I hope that Mr. Dorsey decides to do that. But Dallas has to make him do that.
Yeah.
So I say, take the run away, get him to do what he wants to do anyway, which is throw the ball around, and then make him pay for it. Because their quarterback cannot pass the ball the way he wants, the way he once did.
To answer your question, I don't know that there's a lot of health issues when it comes to Deshaun Watson. He hasn't had a healthy season so far with the Browns. Personal issues also aside, he's a meme now. You know what I mean? I think that's kind of created the narrative that he's like not as good as he was with the Texans, which is understandable. But we kind of saw a glimpse of postseason. What?
Isaiah's off camera. It's okay. We're fine.
Okay, fair enough. We saw a glimpse of 2020 postseason Deshaun Watson last year in the comeback against the Ravens. Mm-hmm. I feel like we saw that. I think it was the fourth quarter, or maybe it was that second half totally, where he went 14 for 14, came back and beat the Ravens last year. That to me was an indication where he's probably not done being Deshaun Watson, but I think, like you said, does it carry over to an entire season? Probably not. But Ken Dorsey, I don't know if you mentioned, but he was fired last season for a 5-5 start.
10,
with the Bills. So
they were still 8th in like yards per game and yards per play. Like they were still like a decent level offense when he got fired last year. It was kind of a weird firing.
Kellen Moore got let go here or not re-signed, and he was at the top of the league.
Yeah, that's true.
Yeah.
A lot of times it's fit more than anything. Yeah, points per game from weeks 1 to 10 in 2023, they were 8th. The Bills were. So it's like,
who knows?
Yeah.
Who knows? I think it's kind of up in the air with Deshaun Watson and how he handles it going forward. You know, it's probably a mental game at this point. But again, if he's not throwing any zip on the ball, then that's also physical as well.
For me, it's a couple things. Number one, I look at it as same way I look at the run attack or the run defense. Cowboys don't have the luxury of assuming that Deshaun Watson is not peak Houston Texans Deshaun Watson. You don't have the luxury. Yeah. Jordan Love walked in and did right. Don't even have to relive it because you were there. So this is the first game after that game. You need to go in there. You need to show Deshaun Watson that what time it is, right? But I'll also add that I kind of touched on it. Deshaun Watson, he ended up on IR last year because of the shoulder issue, right? Yeah. So this is his first game back. There might be some rust. Okay, so yes, the Cowboys have youth on their defense, linebackers, secondary, but Deshaun Watson, he's going to need to get thumped. He's going to need to, make a couple completions before his confidence gets where it needs to get.
No preseason reps.
Right, you need to make sure that his first 3 or 4 attempts are incomplete, which then gets him overthinking and he's trying to overprocess. And now going against Mike Zimmer, a cerebral matchup now, tends to go to Mike Zimmer. But there is something about his mobility, Deshaun Watson, that I wanted to point out. Because obviously when you have a mobile quarterback, if you don't contain and you allow them to get out, now you extend coverage windows, and now your secondary that you're so confident in now has to cover longer. And you're covering longer against Amari Cooper. Arguably still the best route runner in the league. Jerry Jeudy, you're covering against Elijah Moore for longer periods of time. Now the scale starts to slide back towards Cleveland as far as offensive production is concerned. But I asked both Leofau and Overshown specifically, how are they looking to handle the mobility of Deshaun Watson? I'll give you a quick answer for both of them. Leofau said, it's always a challenge because they're a threat to you in so many ways. We're just preparing for that and keeping that in mind this week. But it's what Overshown said that really stood out to me. He said, we've definitely got some stuff cooked up for those situations, and that's one of my specialties is getting after quarterbacks who like to leave the pocket. I'm looking forward to that.
All right.
DeMarvion Overshown wants smoke. Okay?
Robinson.
Yes, and when you go back, and I know we're talking
Smokey the Bear,
college tape versus NFL tape, but if you get a situation where there's not that 315-pound guy who can get a hand on DeMarvion Overshown, if Demo sees Watson exiting that pocket, his lights are going to come on. Beep, beep. He wants that. And you have the speed of Overshown. You have the speed of Leofau. You even have the speed of Eric Kendricks. I remember one particular play. This was the scrimmage against the Los Angeles Rams.
I know exactly which play you're talking about.
When Eric Kendricks absolutely teleported from the mic to that edge. And so you have
scraped off of like a guard or a tackle
just
or
scraped
somebody
a knife through.
right
you
there.
have so much speed at the linebacker position that will help you contain a mobile quarterback like Deshaun Watson. Now you keep him in the pocket, and the more you keep him in the pocket, and if you can nullify that run game, DeMarcus Lawrence, Micah Parsons, they're coming. Marshawn Nealon, hopefully he gets involved in that as well. That's what you want to see, and those coverage windows get made smaller and smaller. Trevon Diggs, that helps a guy like Trevon Diggs who needs to get back in the groove of things. That helps a rookie like Kalen Carson. That helps your young secondary. So that's the goal. Shut down the run, and that includes shutting down the run of a mobile quarterback in Deshaun Watson, because you don't want Watson to build any confidence. Don't let him build any confidence.
Correct. And with all of this being said, all of this being set up, which unit for the Cowboys defense, which position group is going to be tested the most come Sunday?
It's linebackers.
It's still linebackers. What do you think?
I'm going to say defensive line as a whole, but I'm going to say specifically defensive ends, because they're going to be
set the edge,
they got to set
contain.
the edge.
Yeah, that's big.
If they don't set the edge, ooh.
Then
it's going to be a long
if they
day.
don't set the edge, then it's on your linebackers.
It's just
Yeah.
Well, and Jerome Ford can run outside the tackles.
That's what I'm
He
saying.
can go sideline to
That's what I'm
sideline.
saying.
So you have not only the mobility of Deshaun Watson, but you've got Jerome Ford you got to worry about in that case. You agree with one of the two?
I mean, both. It's going to be a tough battle either way.
It will be. And there are parts to this offense that people don't know yet. Elements of it, because it's a new offensive coordinator.
Game one.
It's not going to be the same as the rankings that I gave at the end of last year. They're trying to do everything they can to turn those numbers in the complete opposite
But you know that also applies to the Cowboys defense. There are elements of this defense
Very true.
that the Browns don't know and haven't seen. They don't know what Leofau can do, or Overshown can do, or Kalen Carson can do. They don't know quite yet what a fully unleashed Wanye Thomas looks like, or Marquise Bell as a safety looks like. So there are some things that Browns
it's a fast
don't
defense.
know.
Yeah.
Dallas has
So
a
it
fast
works.
defense.
I say that to say it works both ways.
You know who else has a fast defense? The Cleveland Browns do.
They do.
They've got some speed.
That JOK guy
on that defense. JOK, that Myles Garrett cat who
Yeah.
played down the street.
Who's that?
Who's that?
AT&T Stadium one time in his life. Yeah, we're going to talk Cowboys offensive preview tomorrow about how they're going to try and slow down these guys, and who is that surprise starter on the offensive side of the ball in the unofficial first depth chart of the year. More to come tomorrow, 9 a.m. Central Time on DallasCowboys.com. For Chris Beam, Isaiah Stanback, Josh Rodriguez, Patrick Nosey Walker, I'm Kyle Yeoman saying so long from Talkin Cowboys. We'll see you tomorrow.
This has been a production of DallasCowboys.com and the Dallas Cowboys Football Club.
How about this, Cowboys?